Well, howdy there, friends. I'd like to welcome you to a series that will be launching on Adventures in Design all next week. Old Friends Come Home Week on Adventures in Design. That's right. Follow along all next week as 5 old friends make their way back to Adventures in Design. Some of them we haven't heard from in years, but it doesn't matter because when you're friends, you're family. And when you're family, it's like no time has passed. Follow along all next week. Old Friends Come Home Week on Adventures in Design. Listen to these tales as they make their way home to AID just in time for the Thanksgiving holidays. Now, I also want to give you a shout out or a heads up on a couple of quick items of business. If you live in the San Francisco Bay Area and you want to hang out and meet up, I will be up there this weekend doing some interviews, attending Renegade as a spectator along with some buddies. So if you'd like to meet up with me, Sean Mort, maybe Nathan Goldman, I'm doing a Circle of Trust AID meetup this Saturday in San Francisco. That will be this Saturday, November 10th. Location and time to be determined. If you want to meet up, just contact me through the Circle of Trust. And we can have a fun designer AID hangout that Saturday. And don't write me and go, oh, Saturday's bad. What about Friday? It's Saturday. Okay. That's when it works out. That's when we're doing it. If it works out, we'll see you. If not, we'll catch you the next time. And if you're going to be in the Southern California area for Designer Con, I got good news. Bricky Land tours are setting off on Thursday, November 15th, and then again on Monday, the 19th. That means there's 2 chances to get a Bricky Land tour of Disneyland along with myself and some other Circle of Trust members and poster designers, artists that will be going out there. I will be doing the tour on each of those days. If you want to attend, get at me. Only so many people can be a part of it because too big of a crowd is hard to navigate through the Disneyland. So if a couple of you that are coming in from out of town want to tag along, just give me a message, get a hold of me. If you know me, you know how to do it. That's Thursday, November 15th. And then again on Monday, November 19th, Bricky Land tours will be setting off. You haven't seen the magic until you've seen it through my eyes. Let's get started with today's comment below with Connie Collinsworth. It's your top 10 TV events of November 2018.
You're listening to the AID Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Comment Below, where we're going to look at television events for the month of November. Now, I'll be completely honest with you. I know you're listening to this on a Monday, and you're starting out your work week because you're a faithful Circle of Trust AID member, and you listen every Monday, but we're really recording it on a Thursday. It's November 1st. I did 2 things this morning. Connie Collinsworth, welcome back to Comment Below. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here.
Here's a compliment for you real quick. Connie is my television wife, and I went to send her a link for our recording this morning because, unfortunately, she is in Kentucky, and fortunately, I am in California. And when I went to email my TV wife the link, I accidentally mailed it to my sex wife, Beth. And I was like, no, wrong wife. This is the wife that I have my truest relationship with. Anyways, this morning I did 2 things. I not only walked to Starbucks to get a delicious cup of cold brew, extra ice, light, whole milk. And on my journey, I picked up all the Halloween candy wrappers. You know, kids are out having fun. Oh, rip open an Almond Joy wrapper. So I'm the old guy now that walks through the neighborhood and picks up the trash. But I started out my day earlier before I picked up Halloween trash, listening to Christmas music in the house because the season has started. It's here. It's now the 55 days of Christmas. Welcome aboard my Christmas train. Woo, woo. I love it. Oh, I love it. Love Actually is on my fingertips. I'm going to be watching it soon, Connie. I'm going to be watching it soon.
That's a good one, and I do love that. But as older I get, I'm falling off the Christmas train. I'm hanging on to the caboose back there. And
Don't say that, baby girl. Don't say that at all. Connie, you have to love Christmas because you are a believer in magic. You love pageantry. You love decorations. You love seasonal. Like, it's impossible for me to think that Connie Collinsworth isn't a total lover of Christmas because it's everything that you like. Remove the Christianity part. Remove the commercialism. Well, the commercialism makes it fun, but just think about all the lights and the decorations and the nostalgia. So much great Christmas stuff comes from your favorite time, the 50s and 60s.
Well, actually, 60s and 70s are my favorite time. And that is when I did experience the best of Christmas nostalgia. And so for me, my love of the magic of Christmas lives in those times. So I do still carry it with me. I guess I'm just being a little curmudgeonly about it over the last few years. But it does still live. Like, there's nothing like those big C7, C9 lights when I see those in the store. And I'm just like, Stacy, can we get these this year? And she's just like, oh, that's a lot of work to hang those things around. I'm like, my fucking mother did it every year. You think my dad was hanging Christmas lights? Hell no. He was down in the coal mine. My mom was tacking it with nails in our, not any of this put the little plastic thing with the little adhesive on it.
Yeah.
She's nailing that shit into the windows.
Right into the wood.
One wrap around, move to the next one. One wrap around, move to the next. She was doing that stuff. So maybe I'll backstep a little on that. And Christmas isn't dead for me, but it's like The Walking Dead. It's hanging on.
Oh, God. Rick Grimes' final episodes. We'll get to that later. All right, let's do this. Let's jump in. I've combed through all of the TV releases for the month of November, and I've given you guys a top 10, and I will also reverse and go back and tell you how my top 10 of last month worked out for me, how many of them I got to see and what I thought of them. And I'll tell you, I enjoyed this episode last month more than anybody because, and hey, if it's your job, you might as well do something that you enjoy, because I took my list, I copied and pasted it, I put it in my notes app on my phone, and I cruised through a lot of these. And it was nice, like, just knowing these are 10 things I'm going to try to watch. I've already did my homework. I know that these are the 10 best things happening. And I'm saying I had a strong testosterone-driven month of television. I loved it. I loved it, loved it, loved it. Number 10 this month. This is something that I put on the list. Looks like a potential wife watcher. I love British comedy. I love British people. Due to Ancestry.com, I know that they are my ancestors. When I went there, I felt at home. Sally Forever. Sally Forever on HBO, Sunday, November 11th. It looks maybe a little too British. You know how they use shitty cameras because they're like they're like the white person version of a third world country. It just looked too British.
I don't even know who's in Sally Forever. I love British stuff. I have huge Brit envy.
Me too.
Horrible at the accent, but I mean, I want to live on that little street in Love Actually where Hugh Grant goes to see her. I want to live in those little row houses and have those parents and that whole shenanigans going on for me. I love that stuff. But who's in this?
Are you talking about the street where Hugh Grant walks up to the door and there's three little girls and go, sing us a Christmas carol? And he has to sing. And then his bodyguard jumps in and his bodyguard is like amazing at singing. And then he does one of those, whoa, look at these. Dude. Okay. So that scene when they're in the back seat of the car with the octopus kid and they're like, here, like as soon as they get in the car, it's like a short ride. And one of my favorite lines of that whole movie is when they're putting the kid together in the octopus outfit, to backtrack a bit, is 8 is a lot of arms, David. I fucking love it so much. Let's watch it right now. All right, recording's over. Everybody, figure out November yourself. I'm going to go watch Love Actually. So this show doesn't have too many people that we would recognize. It actually has someone from Love Actually on it.
Oh, now I know, because I saw that preview and I thought, who the fuck are all these people? And this doesn't look like anything I care about. So I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
It actually, this is a very hardcore Love Actually referral. But if you remember on the boat and the catering and the guy who goes to America to have the best menage a trois ever, He insults the caterer to her face. The star of this show is the caterer.
Wow, moving up.
Yeah. It only took her, 15 years to get there? I believe her name is Julia Davis. So it's, it's going to be an HBO. It's on 10:30. That means it is a half-hour comedy. This is why I'm into it, though. It's done by the woman that did Camping, and we'll get to that later, but I'm a big fan of Camping. We'll get to that later.
Yeah, we're going to have to discuss Camping.
My number 10 last month was All American. I even though it was a CW show, I knew that was risque because CW can't make good TV to save its life. I checked it out because football, because Los Angeles, because rags to riches. It was a regrettable $1.99 I spent with iTunes, and I just couldn't get the hour over fast enough. So, every now and again, number 10, I'll just let you know I'm sliding in something that's like a look-see, but I'm not fully invested in it.
Well, I believe that if they were to get a sequel or second season for that show, it wouldn't be any good either, because I believe that player goes on to play for my beloved Miami Dolphins, and nothing good happens there. So,
oh, poor Dolphins, poor Dolphins. Number 9 last month, I had Into the Dark from Hulu, which I thought this was a really great idea. Hulu announced that they were going to do a series, an anthology series. Anthology series are becoming extremely popular. We'll be talking about a lot of those this month. But they're going to do a series where it comes on once a month. I like that from a creator's perspective. And then it will be sort of, it's from, I don't have it in front of me, but Blum, the people that make the low budget horror films. Blumhouse, thank you. Yeah. So it's by Blumhouse, and it's a monthly look at whatever that month's holiday is. So they were going to obviously start in October with the Halloween one, then do a scary Thanksgiving, then a scary Christmas, then a scary New Year's, Valentine's Day. I thought, well, that's actually from a creator's perspective, that's a really great idea. However, when I went to go watch it and knock it off my list, I couldn't find it anywhere. And now they have it listed as premiering in November. So if they missed the Halloween train on that, like I think that they did, I looked up and down Hulu one night and couldn't find it anywhere. So I don't know if there's more to that and somebody got some cold feet and stopped it, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, a few things about that is I don't think I'll like waiting a month for a show. But what I will like is that's a original idea.
Yeah.
And there's so few of those right now that I'm into that. Somebody said, no, we're going to take our time and do one a month, but because it's going to be based around a holiday. So give them props for that. The other thing is if they miss the Halloween window, maybe they changed their mind and decided to start with November, see how it goes. And if it's going great, a great Halloween episode next year would carry it into another season.
Yeah, that could be, that's a good strategy. And here's one of the things that we're going to be looking at today in the Circle of Trust for members is this new rollout of unlimited distribution for television and how we're all now training to watch ourselves TV in a different way. It's really becoming a great time for creators and a great time to be creative in the television space. There's a couple of things that popped up this month that I found as really interesting career moves. And it doesn't matter if you're whatever your industry is. If you're doing something creative for a living, you got to respect the creativity and the career moves. So my number 9 for this season, or for this month, I should say, it's over on Crackle, which, poor Crackle. They had.
I hit that thing every once in a while and look through, and I'm like, what is this? What's going on at Crackle headquarters?
If you think of TV as a city, Crackle isn't just the mobile park, but it's those weird mobile homes that are on the outskirt of town where it's like where old trucks go to die. There's always something under a blue tarp. There's just like maybe an indoor dog, but also dogs are in a pen. Like it's a real weird scene. God bless them. They had Comedians in Coffee. They were the one that took that serious. And then when it got good, Netflix came big dicking around and took it from them. But they have this show called Startup, and this is season 3 of Startup. It premieres tonight, Thursday, November 1st. And it looked really good because it looked like a thriller and a drama all based around business. And I like something like Billions, where it's, they're getting in deep about, the shittiness of business and how it can, lead to some sinister things. So it looked pretty good. I saw a couple of familiar faces on it. You'll recognize what is his name? Well, Martin Freeman's on it, who's a phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
Also, the guy that played Clay from Sons of Anarchy, Ron Perlman, he's on there. Adam Brody is the lead. So there's some talent on here.
Yeah, that's quite a variety there. That's interesting. I'm going to look that one up. I had no idea it even existed. So, but if they're talking about the thrills and heartbreaks or whatever of business, then it's basically like a reality series, probably, because that ain't it the truth.
Ain't that the truth?
Running your own business.
Yeah, so it looked interesting, and if anybody out there has is a step ahead of us, and you've checked out the last 2 seasons, by all means, let us know if it's any good when you comment below. Moving up our charts, this is one that I didn't make my way to, and we'll be talking about Marvel and the Netflix realm and the Circle of Trust today. But Marvel's Daredevil came back, and for whatever reason, when I got caught up with one show, knocked something out, and I said, Marvel, do I watch it now? I should basically watch the first episode before we record. And it always felt like homework clicking play on it. Like I admittedly never got to that one. Now, I haven't given up. This is probably something around Christmas when it gets real quiet. Like last year, I kept The Punisher in my back pocket, and I watched that through the Christmas break, and I really enjoyed just doing 1 a day, and then it got to be 2 a day once it got good around episode 6 or 7. So I'm going to keep Daredevil in my back pocket, but the problem with Daredevil is I've always enjoyed his star of the season, whether it's Kingpin or Frank Castle as the Punisher. I've always enjoyed whatever side player they bring in more than Daredevil. And I hate Froggy. He annoys me. And then the redheaded chick, I'm just bummed that she should be blonde and have fangs in her mouth because, I mean, when she was in True Blood, holy smokes.
Yeah, she was a good character on that. And, I started Daredevil because Jim and some other people were just enamored with it. And I was the farthest thing from enamored with it. I never got past a couple of episodes. Number one, too dark, not in just tone, but the way they filmed the damn thing.
Hard to see what's happening.
Can't see what's going on. It's like Spider-Man 3, that horrible, horrible movie where they're fighting in a city and you can't see anything at all.
Yeah.
It was that. I kept thinking of that. That guy, I don't even know his name, that plays Daredevil, he was great on Boardwalk Empire. And I like him.
What did he play on Boardwalk Empire?
He was dude that ended up in the box dead because he had the relationship with Buscemi's
Love
woman.
interest.
Yes, love interest. Yeah. That was him. Had the accent, Irish guy.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember his name, but he was great in that. And so I liked him, so it intrigued me, but I didn't get into that one. The only Marvel I got into was Jessica Jones, and I did like Luke Cage, but I only watched the first season of it, and then now I hear it's gone too. So Daredevil's it's not for me. It's just not for me.
I can understand that, and I can appreciate that. I will get to it just when it feels right. But I don't know. It is dark. It is a slow grind. And the thing is like I always have to find my guy. And there's nobody. I know Daredevil's not my guy. So it depends on who they put him next to. And if I can resonate with that dude as my guy, then I'm in on the show. But you got to find somebody that you can relate to. And I've learned that a lot through my years of programming now, that it's really important to show people that remind them of themselves so that they can get into that. And, Beth, is sometimes, are you worried that you're too honest, too vulnerable? You talk too much about the struggles of Adventures in Design. Like, are you telling people that the project's not a success? And I always say, they know it's a success. They see it show up every day at midnight to their inbox. That's the success. But I always tell Beth, I'm like, the more transparent I am that I'm frustrated with my career, the more that makes it relatable. Like, nobody wants to listen to me big dick on here every month about how much money I'm making. They want to hear me talk about how much money I feel like I'm not making and how I feel like I'm just an opportunity away from breaking big, and how I hate every fucking podcast themed show on HBO. Fuck off, all you dickheads.
I think I said this to you before when we had our intervention episode, and it might have broke your heart a little bit, but listening to people on AID say how fucking successful they were and how great they are and everything that they were doing and the clients coming to them and how they were really running their own show and basically big dicking around, like you said, is one of the things that crushed it for me of trying to stay in the poster design game business, because I was constantly questioning and wondering if they are, they're doing this and there's no way that I'm ever going to get to that level. Why am I still doing this? I was just doing the wrong things. I was listening to people that weren't, I'm not saying people were lying on your show, but everybody likes to put on a little bit of an air when they're asked, about how things are going or whatever. But I learned so much more from the people who are being honest. Like you and I both have our own private talks where it's like, we both have things that are successful, but they're never going to be as successful as in our minds we want them to be. That doesn't mean they're a failure.
Right.
It just means we're always ambitious and pushing, and to be honest about it is better than to gloss over and then get off the mic and then go to your struggle. Doesn't help anybody.
I think part of one of the things that AID has sometimes been damaged by its own success, because as the podcast became the most popular, the most fabulous design podcast, the only one that's Monday through Friday, I am the most successful podcaster in this realm ever of all time, period. But that made people want to come on the show and tell everybody how great they were. Whereas in the early years when nobody knew where it was going, like in episode 3, when Aesthetic Apparatus just like totally I was like, have you guys ever thought about, that it wouldn't work out? And it's like, yeah, like last month we thought we were done, and ultimately they would go on to quit their run. And so as it got bigger, people started projecting. And that's also kind of when I started to go into other fields and talk to other people and try to just mix it up, because I wanted it to remain real and different every day. I don't ever want this to become Groundhog Day. Here's a project, speaking of radio, Friday, November 2nd. It's called The Other Side of Wind, and it's on Netflix. And they did something interesting, because we'll never know what the legendary director Orson Welles would have thought about his final film being a Netflix exclusive. But here it is, although it's not exactly. They took what he was working on, they kind of finished it up. They put in a list of recognizable actors, and it looks like a think piece. Like it's going to be an interesting thing to watch and be like, okay, so where does reality and fictionalized finishing come into play? Like it's one of those things when you look at it, you don't know what you're looking at, but you will see definitely a handful of familiar faces, which is always important. And to make more sense of it, they're also dropping a documentary the same night called They'll Love Me When I'm Dead, which is chronicles the last years of the life of Orson Welles. And if you remember, Orson Welles did War of the Worlds, which I did my own version of that through Creep Week with the fictionalized last episode of Adventures in Design, which was all based around the fact that what if the big vote tomorrow becomes a scam? And I took every topic that Americans are worried about. I put like 10 topics in front of me, and I just wrote out like, well, what if we did lose some of our water supply? How would that burden the economy? And what if Ruth Ginsburg dies and we get another conservative Supreme Court justice in there? And I basically just created like a dystopian future set 12 months from that date, all based on, we live in a very fragile world. And the idea was to not only inspire you to vote, because your vote does matter, but I was also like, if this all happened, it would be all of our fault because we didn't fight back. We were too busy doing whatever we were doing. And last but not least, Connie, the last point that I wanted to make with this fictionalized episode that I made that really brought people out of the woodworks commenting on the show. Yeah. I did my job there. But if all of the bad shit that I put in my fictional timeline would have happened, it only pointed out how great the 6 years of Adventures in Design was, that we were all able to complain about, I'm not getting the poster jobs I want, or the clients that I like give me kill fees. Like it really would have pointed out what a great ride this has all been, to live in this moment where you can literally complain about Instagram followers or engagement and think that you have it rough.
Yeah. And, you know, a regular listener who's a completely with it, intelligent guy messaged me and said, whoa, Bricky's ending Adventures in Design. And I was like, no, man, I don't think that all that stuff's actually happening. So go back and check it out.
That was the scary thing to me, Connie. Like, part of what Donald Trump's been able to do is manipulate people through, if you just say something long enough, it becomes a half truth, and a half truth is half enough good for most folks. And people were like, dude, I just listened to the whole thing. I can't believe you're ending it. And I was like, you need to go back and listen to the episode. There's over 20 Easter eggs in there that let you know that it's a Halloween special. Like, it blew my mind that people were like, oh yeah, all the Great Lakes are contaminated and nobody can drink that water, and the economy fell apart, and there's you know, like, people, I said that people were dead. And also the biggest thing is I said, what if there was, because I was thinking about it from sort of that evil mind, and I love Adventures in Design has made me love writing and storytelling. I thought about, what if a all-American town in West Virginia, where the president loves to go, sort of like ground zero for the base, what if on their 4th of July celebration, they had a terrorist group come in and do something? You know, like, what if it wasn't New York City, but white America, and as white as it gets? That would ignite white fear, which has become such a big part of everything, that would make the base double overnight. And there's conspiracy theorists that we never went to the moon and that 9/11's an inside job, and it's up to you if you want to believe those things. But I thought about, what if somebody in the government that was sneaky enough, greedy enough, and wanted to gain more power was like, what if we just hire 8 dudes to go in and do something crazy on the 4th of July? And so all I did was Google biggest fireworks display, West Virginia. And I found like Alderson or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And people fucking didn't even know that didn't happen. Like, how would you not know there was a terrorist attack on white America on 4th of July? What the fuck? Nobody listens to this show. I'm just going to, like, right now, I'm just going to say the N-word 20 times to make sure people are listening. Are you ready? Number 1. Nice. Number 2, negotiator. Number 3, Nigeria. Number 4, I don't know. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. I think you should just take this and run with it, and just, you know, maybe 3-4 months down the road, you drop some crazy thing into a regular show, and let's just watch it chart and travel and see what happens with it.
Just like a message in a bottle, and just put it out into the airwaves and see what happens. So anyways, I'm a big fan of Orson Welles, what he's done. He's got one of the most amazing voices ever. Get Mrs. Rogers on the phone. I take instructions from one person under extreme protest, but two. So listen, this is something I'm going to check out. Hopefully it's good, but the trailer looked like a whirlwind of possibilities.
Yeah, I'll check it out. It's interesting. It almost feels like it maybe is going to be when like a popular musician dies or something, and they find those lost demos, and then some producer and some other person comes in and tries to put them out to. We know it's just to cash in, but they end up putting their spin on it. It's like, okay, that's probably not what Prince would have done. Why would I listen to this kind of thing?
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll give it a shot.
Moving up our charts, number 7 last month, I had Walking Dead final episodes of Rick Grimes, and I'm watching it. They got an identity crisis over there. So the first episode of this season of Walking Dead, they put a lot of money and a lot of time into making the zombies feel animated and very like Halloween and very graphic novel. For the first time ever, the opening credits is all animation. It looks very much like a graphic novel come to life. So they've changed the zombies in one episode. They changed the opening for the whole season, and what they haven't changed though is that it's so boring sometimes. The zombies are really only when they need something else to do or they want to create like a thrilling challenge, they pop up. And you know, by the time this airs this Sunday, like, you know, last night will have been Rick Grimes' final episode. And it looks like from the trailer that it might be like a dream sequence or his journey through this whole thing. And, you know, I still believe that Walking Dead could be good. I just think that they need to bring some people in, recalculate it, recalibrate it. And I do believe that it could be good. They've got a really great sort of chassis to build a great product off of, but they just blow it each and every time.
They stripped that chassis down, that car down to that chassis so long ago for me that I just, I don't care what they do with it. I'm not going to go back in and invest time that I could be watching other things on to catch up. And I'm not a person that'll drop in and go and forget about that little gap. I'm just not going to do it.
Right.
What was great about this show, the zombies weren't the villain. They weren't the real threat. It was whether these people could coexist together or not.
Right.
But they took that too far when you take all of the people that we care about and start killing them off in rapid succession, or even people we don't care about, just our villains and our people who are mixing things up and get rid of them and bring in random fire people that we don't care about, nor are we given enough of their story to care about them. When they brought in that junk pile people,
Yeah.
I was done right there.
Why would the junk pile people who are from our time speak a different dialect of English? Like that doesn't, none of that makes any fucking sense.
No, just because they look like they came from another planet doesn't mean that they speak some other language. They're probably like just the Virginia backwoods people that already had a junkyard and said, let's just expand on this.
Right.
No, nothing against Virginia, sorry. But
everything against Virginia. No apologies.
They lost me there, and then I got tired of the that motherfucker that run that hill, alcoholic guy. To be a villain that people are interested in, you have to have charisma.
Yeah.
And that dude has none of it. He's every horrible high school principal that we all hated.
Oh, you're talking about the guy that what was his name? Silver-haired guy, right? Like you're not talking about Negan. You're talking about the other guy whose name.
No. Negan is charisma for days, and I don't even like that actor. I think he's horrible. He was one of my old back in the day Grey's Anatomy people, but yeah, he had watchability. You wanted to see what he was going to do, and he had a way about him. You can't then just have people who are you're supposed to be, creating drama with, and they're not creating any. They're just annoying.
Yeah, Gregory was the guy's name who you're thinking of, who was the charge of the hilltop or whatever. And then also, they had did you even make it when the kingdom came in? The guy that had the lion and spoke like he was King Arthur,
that fucking CGI lion.
I did get sad though when the lion got eaten by zombies because I have a soft spot for animals, but it's bad. It's bad. Unfortunately, I'm a completist, so I'm stuck in the middle of it. I am a
completist, and you know that, and so that can tell everyone how bad I think it had gotten. That I just said no because it was appointment TV for us. We watched it when it was on.
Yeah,
both of us. This is something that Stacy watched, which I did not think that she would, and we watched it together, and we made sure we watched every episode, and then we're both like, I think I'm done with this.
Yeah.
I think I'm done.
Yeah.
It takes a lot for me.
Listen up, Circle of Trust members. I've got a great offer for you. Our friends over at Jack Prince are offering a 15% off full color stickers. You got to run over there. You got to make the most of this deal. Are you getting the most out of your stickers? Create custom stickers in any size, shape, or color on your choice of stock without any color limitations. You can confidently print photographic elements or complex logos without any extra fees. And you know the deal with Jack Prince. Free shipping. So they have a deal going on over there right now where you get 15% off full color stickers. But when you contact them, you might want to say, do I get a better deal if I'm a member of the Circle of Trust? Go to jackprince.com/circle of trust. Currently, they have their 15% off full color stickers. Remember to use the link jackprince.com/circle of trust. Tell them Bricky sent you and tell them you're looking for the 15% off stickers. Jack Prince has been the official sticker maker for Adventures in Design the entire run of the show. If you've ever seen one of our Circle of Trust or AID stickers, it was made by our buddies over at jackprince.com. Let them make stickers for you. Let's get back into comment below with Connie Collinsworth. It's your November Top 10 TV event countdown. Well, Coming up this month in our number 7 slot over on HBO, premiering Friday, November 9th, it's Room 104. This is second season. This is my first show this month that is one of my reoccurring friends. But Room 104 is an anthology series. And what happens is each Friday, you see what has happened in Room 104 of this motel. It's done by the Duplass brothers, who I just enjoy everything that they do, but they always bring in a solid list of people to do one of the episodes. So this season, we're going to get Michael Shannon, who's a phenomenal actor. Rainn Wilson shows back up. We also have, I have a hard time saying his name, but it's Mahershala Ali, who was in Moonlight.
Mahershala Ali. Yeah.
Say it again.
Mahershala.
Mahershala.
Yeah, he was in House of Cards, right?
Yes. Fantastic actor. As we all know, he's going to be doing True Detective season 3. So this is him kind of, playing well with HBO and let's do a little bit of synergy. But wild shit happens in this room. And with most anthology series, some will be better than others depending on how big the idea is and how well they can tell it in 28 minutes. But if you didn't see season 1, I would suggest go back to it. It always has sort of a frightening Twilight Zone type of thing on it. And when the credits come up and a fantastic song plays at the end, a lot of times you'll look over at your partner and be like, so did he die? Or did the kid murder him, or was that all a masturbation fantasy? Like, you will literally be like, what the fuck just happened here?
Yeah, I kind of like that. Things being left open to interpretation.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I didn't watch the first season of this. I wasn't aware of it. I've fallen off of HBO a little bit, but I see this Duplass brothers, and I'm with you on this. They are a couple of people that get the pass from me of I will give them a chance no matter what it is, or if I don't even know what it is, if I see their names on it, I'm going to go there because of Transparent. And then what was the one that you and I both loved that only had the one season? I can't remember the name of it.
Togetherness?
The brother was the married couple to Melanie Linsky.
Togetherness.
Yeah. That thing got robbed, man.
Fucking great show, man.
Yeah, and it's a good example of what they do in that show. So if people haven't checked that out, and you want just like, hey, I need a burner 1-season show to be friends. Well, yeah, 2 seasons to be friends with for a little bit, and then just leave and go away from. That's a good one. But I'm gonna look at 104 because they're in it, and I see some names. Michael Shannon, it's never bad.
No, never. One of the things about a good show like Room 104 that's an anthology series is you can just kind of tuck it in. Whatever, like, I'm not really ready to go to bed. We just ate. We should probably stay up for another 20 minutes. Boom, knock out a Room 104. If you do watch Togetherness, one of Beth's all-time favorite shows, and if you watch the episode where they go and steal sand from the beach, that is literally like 5 blocks from my house. That is like right down the street from where I live. So that made it even more special when we're like, oh, all of our TV friends are in our neighborhood tonight. All right, moving up our countdown. Last month on number 6, I had Flight of the Conchords live at London Apollo. I normally don't watch live music on TV. It can be boring. This was pretty good. They didn't play enough of their hits, and it felt a little long in the tooth. Like, it was an hour 25, hour 30, and I was ready for it to be done around 45 minutes. But I like Brett and Jermaine. They got good banter. They got good songs. And they're one of those type of artists that the only thing I hate about them isn't their fault. I hate people like Brett and Jermaine because I always wanted to be a person like Brett and Jermaine, where everybody just hangs on their every word because they love them that much, and it's like the whole audience is just sitting there going, would anything you do is going to be funny? Like anything you do, I'm just willing to just eat it all in. And I'm like, man, like to just be one of those people that got that pass in life. It's never going to come from me because I'm too offensive, but I'm jealous of those that were able to eat enough shit sandwiches to get there.
Yeah, they're like those comedians, and you'll see a live comedian, comedy show, and there'll be people in the audience who have permagrin between the laughter because they're so happy to be seeing the people, yes. And whatever they say is great that they never get to a solemn face at all or just a straight face. It's like constantly grinning and then uproarious laughter.
Yeah.
not for me, for Flight of the Conchords. I never was a fan.
Loved
this
it.
is this is the stuff that is just not, I don't know, I just not for me. But there's other things like that are similar that I like that the IT crowd and things like that. I love British humor. I love British people. We've already gone over that. But this one for me, there was just too much hipster factor here. I don't like songs mixed into that. That's just not for me. Like with Portlandia, I never was a Portlandia person. I think I'm just not hip enough. I'm not cool enough.
Oh, I
for
can
this
respect that.
stuff.
That was in the bio of your company that you ran for 20 years. Like, we've never been cool. We don't dance well. We're not the life of the party. I remember that.
Yeah, exactly. So it just, I can't even have like to say, this is horrible, you shouldn't like it. I don't think that. It's just not my cup of tea. People love it though, but damn, 2007 was a long time ago. And then to come back with just this special or whatever, you think they're just testing the waters for coming back for more?
I don't know, because they taught me and I've talked about this countless times on the show. They taught me something really interesting about TV, is that those two guys had their whole life to make all the inside jokes for season 1. And then after season 1 happened and it was a surprise, shocking hit, because this is way before Netflix or any of that sort of like real focused content. They're like, we don't have enough time to put together a season 2. Like they killed themselves trying to put together a season 2. They were also touring because they had the ability to make money, and it's hard being New Zealand's biggest comedy rock band, as they would say. And the end of season 2, Connie, they had the best quote ever. They're like wrapping up their whole thing, and their manager tries to tell them that they've been a rags to riches story, and they're like, no, isn't it more of a rags to rags story? I love that so much.
I've heard you say that before, and that is a great line. Back to the sophomore slump kind of thing and stuff. It's, I don't want to say it's easy to have one great idea, but it seems like it is, because you had all that build up to it, and then you have a hit, and then you're like, oh, what's my next thing I'm going to do immediately? And nothing. And it's your first great idea. It's great. Coming up with that second one's going to be the hardest work you do in your whole life. I had a friend recently who's never done a t-shirt before, never had any aspirations of producing anything. He just had a thought in his mind and said, I think this is universal. I think people will like this. And put it out, and they're just on Instagram, and with a few of us sharing it, out of the gate, he's selling tons of them. And it's a phrase. And then 2 days into it, after he's selling a whole bunch of them, he's already messaged me going, hey, I got this other idea.
Oh, boy.
What do you think about this? And I said, I think that's the worst idea I've ever heard, because you thought about it for 2 days. And I don't think anyone's going to get that inside joke. Your great thing about your first idea was it was universal.
Yeah.
You came up with something that appealed to people across the board.
Yeah.
Try to do that again and talk to me in 5 years when you've come up with it.
Hitting the zeitgeist is so important with anything. And one of the things that goes against all of us as creators is, think about this, and then put yourself in old man Bricky's shoes. The first year that your TV show comes out, it's going to be the biggest audience you ever have. Every season after, you're just going to slowly lose people. And new people will come in the door, but you'll generally lose people. So doing the show now for 4 years, there's so many people that have come and gone from Adventures in Design. And you have to learn to not take that personal. And you just have to realize, okay, so this is what the class of 2018 looks like. And it's a lot of different faces than 2016. But that is what every media creator goes through. And so not only are you trying to come up with new and better ideas, but you also are going against this thing where, like, man, our opening episode of season 4, there's like 150,000 people missing from season 3. And how do you not take that personal? But people just, they move on, they get lost, and all the hype's always out of the gate. So something like Mad Men, nobody was watching the first season. People show up in droves for the second and the third, and then by the fourth and the fifth, they're just dropping off. And then at the end, there's not a lot of the audience remaining. And that's just, you have to realize, this is the thing I tell myself all the time. I still listen to Howard Stern every day. But everyone I talk to goes, oh, I haven't listened to Howard in years. What's he up to? And I have to just keep in mind, I'm on that exact same path. And I can't take it personal, because it's just the way that the world works.
Yeah, and there's enough people like you're on the Howard journey. You've invested in it. He's won you over. You're going to stay with him the whole time. The other people are going to ebb and flow in and out of that. So you just have to remember those core people that are with you.
Yep.
And don't chase those numbers.
No.
Don't chase, I want to be back at this many thousand people or whatever, because chasing something is the easiest way to get so far away from home that you'll
Don't
never get
go
back.
chasing waterfalls. Stick to the downloads that you'll get in. Connie, you make so much sense. And the thing is, you got to keep in mind, there was something like Stern, and I believe this is the same path AID's on, that if you go long enough, all the Johnny come latelys have come and gone. But if you go long enough, you hit this moment where you're now a legacy act. And so even though a lot of people may not be listening, you have a certain amount of respect and cachet, and then they will want to come by and promote their products, and they'll check back in. And when I've gone out this year and done my speaking engagements, the amount of respect I get as the podcast guy who's now 6 years in is way different than I was cool guy the first year in. And, like 100 people were passionately listening and they thought it was an insiders club. So there is a reward to going the long haul. It's just a reprogramming of the brain. Speaking of the long haul and being fatigued, number 6 this month, Narcos. Ese bon detalle me se antojo Kenya, rose del Totuskia, de Boteleshaboskia. Those are not the lyrics, but it sounds something like that. Friday, November 16th, Netflix returns with Narcos. After, spoiler alert, the second or third season, a very important character leaves. And then you think, how could the show continue? And it did. I really, really enjoy Narcos. It's the real deal. Unfortunately, they had one of their production people die making this season because he was in Mexico. This year it goes from South America up to Mexico. They're probably just hitching a ride with the caravan. And this year, when they were sending somebody out to try to find locations where that are like cartel friendly, well, they found some unfriendly cartel people, and one of their set locators, location scouts, got murdered for getting too close to the real deal. So this is a wild show. I cannot recommend enough just blowing through those first couple of seasons. And if you're like me and you really enjoy it, you'll stay around till the end and watch all of them. But I really, really like it. I love everything mob related. I love crime. I love drugs. I don't do drugs. I'm straight edge, but I love
The business of drugs.
the business of drugs. Thank you, Connie. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying what we were all thinking. So 30 episodes. I'm looking here. This IMDb page is not correct because they're into season 4, I believe. But Narcos, fantastic. Can't wait for this to come back. This will be one that I'll jump into immediately. Hey, Daredevil, you're still on the bench.
This is going to have to be something that when I am just so up on my laurels of success that I can sit down and devote to, because subtitles, right?
Partial. Not a
Partial?
lot. Not a lot.
Okay.
But
See,
yeah, you
everyone's
do
told
need to be
me
able to
that
look at the screen.
Everybody's told me that you've got to read every episode, and I'm like, man, I'm all for this show. It's about everything that I would be into also, because it's probably a lot like Billions that you've already
Yeah.
mentioned, and you and
Yeah.
I both love. It's like that behind the scenes stuff. So I'm into it, but it isn't one that I can work with, and TV is my work companion for the most part. When I have some time or force myself to take a break, Narcos will be. I'm sure I will love it. You and my other trusted TV friend have always pushed it to me, and
Wait.
they're like, "This show is for you."
Who's this motherfucker you're over there talking about?
I said trusted TV friend, not husband.
Yeah, but as long as he watches us watch, that's okay. That's okay with me. As long as, is it a she?
No, it's a he.
Oh, fucking world. Can't even trust lesbians. I'm telling you. What the hell's going on with this world? Can't trust nobody. Number 5 last month.
We got to fill folks in on when I asked you if we were going missionary today or threesome.
Yeah, I go, we're recording tomorrow Thursday. Is that good with you? And she says, yeah. She writes me back and she goes, missionary style or threesome? I'm like, missionary. Just you and I. No Morty pants. Last month, my number 5, Wanderlust on Netflix. Beth and I cruised through this show. We watched it in one weekend. Absolutely loved it. I can't recommend it enough. It was so good that I did this thing that I like. If a TV show is good, I'll do this. I went over to this great website called Tune Finder, I think is what it's called. And they will tell you every song in every episode. So I immediately made a playlist, put it in our Sonos. We've been listening to it around the house. It's 6 episodes. It's about a husband and a wife dealing with their sex life getting boring, hitting a wall, the things that they do to try to save the sex life. Does it end up damaging the real life? And we really, really loved it. And I know one of your favorite actresses is in it.
Toni Collette. Yeah, she's one of the ones that I will also give that pass to and watch anything that she's in. I've watched the first one of these. I had to put a halt on it because I know that Stacy is going to want to watch this show after that one, and she loves Toni Collette as well.
How good does she look in this? She looks sexy as hell.
Yeah, she's one of those actresses that I'm finding more and more of these days. Women who are saying, "I don't need to do the plastic surgery. I don't need to try to chase."
She's a real woman.
I'm gonna live in this, and men get to do it, and they're suddenly they're more handsome, they're rugged, they're mature, they're whatever. Give me a mature actress.
Yeah,
I don't want I'm not getting into the crazy older ladies, but
I am.
Give me
Betty White. I'm talking to you. Spread them for me.
Give me that. I appreciate that. I notice it when I look in and I'm like, God, this person looks fantastic. I hope they don't start chasing, the looks for roles. I think some of this is because we are in a better spot for women of age, middle-aged actresses getting quality parts.
Yeah.
But mostly because they're creating themselves, like Big Little Lies.
Yeah.
You've got Reese Witherspoon and Nicole Kidman saying, we're going to just be a production company, and we're going to find these things that we like, and we're going to cast us and our friends and do this shit. And so more people are doing that. And that's, I don't know, is Toni Collette involved in this at all? I'm not sure.
I don't know what her ownership is, but I agree with you. I do not, and I lived in the land of plastic faces. I love an older looking, sophisticated woman who's showing her age and showing it well. Like I watched this show, and, there's a younger girl that her husband has an attraction to, and I'm like, oh no. Let's go. Forget the girl, go with the lady. And I found her to be really sexy in this role. And as always, what I think makes someone sexy, man or woman, is that self-confidence of, I'm not perfect, but I'm perfect at being me. And she really sort of has that sort of vibe. So even though there's people that have these high and mighty taste. I like that she had an aging body and face and stuff like that. And by saying aging, I don't mean that as an insult, but like, she looks sophisticated and smart and worldly. And I don't know, I've been a big fan of her for a really long time. And it was fun to see her do something kind of campy and crazy like United States of Terror. But this is the type of role, particularly episode 5 is just her and a therapist, and they're just like, it's just a tennis match of just boom, boom, boom. They're going back and forth, and man, she can act. Yeah,
because this is something that it's relatable. It's something that long-term couples go through. And
look at me, I got a TV wife.
Yeah. And I'm joking with my TV husband about Missionary. So, right. Hey, we got to spice it up somehow. But
fuck you, Stacy and Beth.
It's relatable. And so if she came into this and had been someone who had a plastic surgery and still looked like she was 22, I don't know that we buy the concept and the relationships in this show as much. So it's a great piece of work.
It also shows
for her in it, for her the way she looks, for the relationships. Yeah.
It also shows her, an older woman, kind of quote unquote going out on the prowl. And there's younger guys who are like, oh, absolutely. If you're giving me some attention, I'll take it. And I found that to be an interesting dynamic because I could understand that would be, intimidating if you're, a 28-year-old and you meet a woman who's, in her late 40s and, has a couple of adult or, on their way to being adult children. Like, I could understand how that'd be an intimidating dynamic, and they kind of handle it in a really interesting way. So Wanderlust, fantastic show. I hope that it comes back for a season 2. It does seem possible. My number 5 this month. Number 5 is when we start to get into the shows I'm super pumped on. Escape for Dannemora. This I told Beth when this was happening, you guys might remember this. There's two guys break out of jail and they come to find that the cafeteria lady helped them do it. And she helped them do it because they seduced her. Now, she wasn't a looker in the real world. And I don't mean to be mean, but it's just the fact is that people normally, if you're a 10, you go with a 10. And if you're a 2, you go with a 2. So the fact that she was in this sexual attraction with these two guys, you and I both know that she got played, but she didn't know she was getting played. As all of this was happening, these guys were being manhunted down. I told Beth, I'm like, there's somebody right now putting this all out into a script and putting it together. And man, oh man, getting Patricia Arquette to play her, Alabama Whirly, my favorite woman ever in a movie. Holy shit. And the two con men, Benicio del Toro as the older one, and then the younger one, Paul Dano, who I don't really know. I don't think I know him, but he looks familiar.
He was in Little Miss Sunshine.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And
There Will Be Blood.
He was also in a fantastic movie that no one watched, I don't think. It had Hugh Jackman in it, and he supposedly was a child like predator, and he in the town, Paul Dano was, and he ends up getting captured. The Prisoner is what it was called. Everybody looked that thing up. Anyway, Paul Dano was in that, and he was great. He always plays an odd, kind of off-center kind of guy. So I'm interested in this. But I did the same thing. I told Stacey when we were watching that news report, I said, this is already written right here. It's ready for, an American Crime Story or something.
And Ben Stiller was the guy who decided to be the writer, or not the writer, but he's the director and the producer. It's an 8-hour Showtime miniseries based on the real life event that took place just in 2015. And it all took place in upstate New York. And in the beginning, the woman was really trying to play that she was innocent. And so it was one of those stories where if you are a daily news watcher, which I find that's my responsibility because of doing this project, every day you couldn't wait to see what the next piece was. And when they were interviewing the husband about do you think that your wife cheated on you? And he's like, no, she's loyal. Then the next day, your wife did cheat on you. What do you think? That guy was classic. The people that are the writers on this are from the Ray Donovan team, which is a Showtime original. So This looks really, really good. Normally, I'm not a miniseries fan. I want to get into something. I know it's going to go the long haul, but this story was so enticing as it was happening in real time that how could I not watch a serialized version of it or a dramatic version of it?
Yeah, and then when they throw Arquette in there, I mean, it's a slam dunk. Oh, and I'm glad it's Patricia, not Rosanna.
And there's a woman who didn't fix her teeth, and God bless her. She never needed to. She looked real the whole time, and I loved her for it. All right.
Yep.
Last month at number 4, I had Camping on HBO. Now, this is where me and my TV wife part ways, and I buddy up with my sex wife. But I found the pilot episode of Camping to be one of the funniest things I've ever seen. We've been every Sunday night when it goes live, as soon as Sunday Night Football is over with, we go right into Camping, and we are loving it. I will say a disclaimer, though. This show portrays all the douchebags that we are surrounded by living in California. So maybe there's a little bit of that for us.
It's not even just California. And that's my thing with it. I went back and watched the first 2 after you and I had our off radio talk about it because we were so violently different in our opinions. You were like, oh, I love it. I was like, oh, I hate it. I went back and watched the first 2. What threw me off from this is that I am so surrounded on a daily basis by people like the main character, Jennifer Garner, that I was like, I don't want to be entertained by this. I don't, the neurotic, the always something wrong with them, only focused on their perceived aches, pains, illnesses, stuff that's in their head, the controlling aspect of this character. We should probably tell people that it's about a weekend camping trip run by a super controlling person that thinks she's the head of a group of friends.
Yeah, Jennifer Garner is an Instagram douchebag.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Pushing 11,000 followers. Yeah. The bright spot in this for me is the writing. It's really, really got some great, relatable, snappy writing. There's a few characters that I do like, and I always like Juliette Lewis. I don't care what she's.
I love
I don't care
her.
what she's playing, what she's doing.
I have loved her
think
my
she's-
whole life.
Same, and she's the exact opposite of the Jennifer Garner character.
Yes.
You've got your two foils there. So as I'm talking about this, it sounds like something that all kinds of people are going to watch. It sounds super interesting. I just found that I was just kind of like already knowing the things that Jennifer Garner was going to do.
Yeah.
I've got people here in this town who are exactly this character that I interact with on a weekly basis.
The reason why I love a show like this is because everybody in the show is a complete and total shithead.
Yeah.
Jennifer Garner is the control freak. Juliette Lewis is the hippy dippy. Like everything that she says is just as dumb as Jennifer Garner, but just on a completely different perspective. But I tell you who I've really come to enjoy anything he's in is Brett Gelman. He plays an LA douchebag better than anybody. I don't know if you watched Love on Netflix. That was something
Yep.
that Beth and I ripped through. He plays just the worst person ever in that series. And big Brett Gelman fan. Like, I love his voice. He has the look. He has to be in the real world a complete fucking cool guy to understand how to do these characters the way
Yeah.
that he does. Like, I have no doubt that I couldn't hang out with the dude and be like, you're fucking awesome. Like, he just strikes me as a very likable guy that gets it on all these characters.
The character I do enjoy is the one I think non-douchebag is the camping ground owner, the lesbian Bridget Everett.
Oh,
is
yeah.
The actress that plays.
Is there gay stuff in it? Yes, there is.
Yes, there is. That talk that she sits down and has with Garner's husband about just like dealing with a wife, dealing with a woman is brilliant. And then kind of is giving him like man up lessons,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And I
Like,
love
here's
that.
what you're going to do, and here's how she's going to respond, and you're going to be fine, you know? That was a bright spot in this for me. I loved that.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. I mean, it suffered from like a lot of shows that the pilot was so strong and then they can't keep that rhythm up. But we're into the characters, we're all in on it, and we're really enjoying it. This month for our number 4 pick, Friday, November 2nd, so it's already live over on Prime, is Homecoming. And this is a big moment in TV where we're seeing Julia Roberts, Sissy Spacek, Bobby Cannavale, all in a show.
Love him.
Oh my
Love
God,
him.
I love him so much. I didn't really know how much I loved Bobby until I started really paying attention to him in Vinyl. And I thought about how great he was in that. And then anything I've seen him on, even the bit part that he has in Ant-Man, the films, he is a fantastic actor. And I hope somebody out there is trying to figure out a show that he can be the lead of again, because you and I, Vinyl, too soon. It was taken from us too soon.
Too soon. Yeah, I've loved him since way back. He used to be Will's boyfriend on Will and Grace.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Way back in the day. Yeah,
That was during
also
my homophobic year, so I didn't watch that show.
he was also in Boardwalk Empire. And
Oh, yeah.
Then he was great in that Woody Allen movie with Kate Blanchett, Blue Jasmine. He plays like a working class guy who has to deal with the sister-in-law that thinks she's better than him.
Yeah.
Which is a great role for him. Anyway, he's in that, and I haven't started this one. Well, was it come on tomorrow?
Yeah.
We will full on be watching this because of Julia Roberts.
Yeah, we'll be watching this as well. And unfortunately, it is based off of a podcast, but I'll watch it anyways. I'll break my rule. But I watched the trailer. I wasn't exactly sure what was happening, but it looked really, really good. And it's done by the Mr. Robot people, which I never did Mr. Robot, but everybody told me that I should.
No, I started watching Mr. Robot. I was into it for about 3 or 4 episodes, figured out the little trick in it, and I was no longer interested. And I don't really care for that Rami Malek guy that played the lead in that. It had Christian Slater in it, though, which
I love
pulled
Christian
me in,
Slater.
But no.
Speaking of True Romance, Clarence. I don't sound like a white boy's name. What a fantastic show or movie. I think we might, one of these months, we might have to just do a True Romance episode, because the fact that that is Quentin Tarantino's real first movie, like he wrote that that script, and they told him, if you bother the director one more time, we're putting a restraining order on you to keep, because he just was like, you gotta get this in it, man. You gotta really get this in it. But I love that sort of flashy talk from all the characters. And True Romance, that's the first time that we see the signature Tarantino ending of all bad guys showing up at the same location at once, and you're like, who's shooting at who?
Yeah, the script, Slater and Arquette, everyone in that movie is fantastic, down to the Dennis Hopper speech, which is classic.
Yeah.
But the dialogue in that, and just the ways of thinking that the characters do, and is the star of that movie.
Absolutely.
And I would love to do an episode on that. So
let's do it. I think that it's just fantastic. And it was the first time you saw those Quentin Tarantino movies, the use of the N-word and the outward use of characters that are racist and saying fucked up things, like it really was a punch to the gut. Like the first time I went and saw that movie and Pulp Fiction in theater, you were like, am I supposed to laugh out loud to these N-bombs everywhere from white characters in the worst way possible? Like that was really like jarring filmmaking at the time. And it's weird how those projects have aged as the country's changed, but not changed. So it was different time.
On Tarantino, which is off topic of our show, but the next movie he has coming out, the Manson tale.
They're filming that out here right now. It's always popping up in the like TMZs and stuff like that, photos of those people dressed up in Hollywood and shit.
I've got so many thoughts on that because I love Tarantino. I absolutely love the Manson tale, everything about it, involved in it, student of it. Burt Reynolds was supposed to be in that, but he died.
Too soon, Burt. Too soon, Bandit.
He died before they could film the scenes, and it would have been full circle for Tarantino. He's named after Burt Reynolds' character from a television show in the 60s.
Yeah.
And, just like absolutely adored him. And then to get Burt to be able to come in at his age, and if that had been his last thing and it was great, I mean, I'm going to get emotional talking about it, about Burt Reynolds, but that would have been fantastic. I would love to have seen it.
Right in this same era that we're talking about of these old movies was when Burt Reynolds sort of got rebirthed in Boogie Nights. And Boogie Nights is one of my all-time favorite movies. There were some really great 2.5 hour movies that came out in that same time period. Mm-hmm. But the thing that two things that I always take from Boogie Nights is every time before I go out on stage, I always say to myself as a joke, it's my big fucking dick and we'll shoot when I'm ready. Because I always love Dirk Diggler doing the karate in the mirror, like getting ready to get hard. And I say that to myself not because I think that I have a big dick, but it makes me laugh, because that to me is the funniest pep talk I've ever seen. And I always say that to myself, and it just puts me in a good mood to walk out on stage and to sort of like let everything go and just go be that guy for 45 minutes. And then the other thing is, whenever I do an interview, like 9 times out of 10 when I do an interview, I go out to my car and I feel like Philip Seymour Hoffman when he tries to kiss Dirk and Dirk's not gay. And I just sit out in my car after an interview and I go, you fucking idiot, you stupid, you idiot. Like that's me about once a week.
Burt got robbed for the Oscar for that movie. There was quite a kerfuffle came up here at the house at the Oscar party. We do the Oscar party. We've done it for like 27 years.
Gay Super Bowl.
Yeah. And Jim had picked Burt Reynolds to win, as most of us had. And then, of course, Robin Williams slid in there with that fantastic performance in Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
Very good. Deserved. But around here, there was papers being thrown, people stomping out of the room. Jim vowed to never watch the Oscars again, which lasted till the next Oscars. And he came back.
Yeah, that there were some good movies in that time period, man. And Boogie Nights, like now that I live out here too, whenever I drive past the sign for Torrance, I'm like, yeah, this is Dirk. He's from Torrance. I'm like, Torrance isn't that bad, man. I go to the movies there a lot. It's not that bad. Hey, friends, I hope you have enjoyed the first part of today's program with Connie Collinsworth, where we're looking back at the top 10 TV events of October, what was good and what was a waste of time. And then we're also at the same time looking forward into what we're loving about November. If you're a Circle of Trust member, log in, take the list, copy, paste it, put it in your notepad on your phone. And when you're sitting around going, oh, what do I want to watch? Bricks Picks. They're right there. They're all laid out for you. 10 of them listed. And you can just sort of make a little checklist. And if you watch some of those, then you'll be even more excited for this episode to pop up again in December. If you're Circle of Trust members, today we've got over 36 more minutes of content coming your way. In part 2, Connie and I look behind the scenes of Hollywood. We look at some industry news, and we also talk about content creation. You may say, oh, but that doesn't apply to me because I'm a designer or an illustrator or photographer. Oh, you silly, silly mortal. If you are on social media, if you're putting content out in the world, my friend, you're a content creator. And part 2, we look at the strategies of Hollywood. We look at the way the entertainment industry works, and then we carve it down into how does that work for you and I, the small time content creator. If you're publishing, you're in the game. And if you play the game correctly, more people will become aware of you, your brand. As your audience grows, so does your influence. When influence grows, so do your opportunities. When opportunities grow, so does your power of negotiation. Then your money grows. Money equals more power. More power equals, you guessed it, more influence. That means your content grows. It's a cycle that we're all in. Learn how to play the game correctly, because guess what? You're already playing it, whether you are aware or not. Sign up today at AID.network to get the extra 36 minutes of this episode. You'll also want to become a member of the Circle of Trust, because next week we have 5 great old friends that come home to AID, and you'll want to hear the full conversation in all 5 of those recordings, as well as unlock the archives, baby. 850 laying in the pile. Whatever you're looking to figure out in your career, whatever you're looking to motivate you, whatever you're looking for, it's sitting over there. You want laughs? We got them. You want inspiration? Oh, we got them. You want to figure out how to do that thing? We got them. You want workshops? There's a pile of them. It's all sitting over there for you. All you got to do is become a member of the Circle of Trust at AID Network. Get access to our Slack channel where you can hang out with active members over there that are talking about their careers and what they're going through every day. Right now, the Slack channel, we got 85 of our COT members that hang out there every day, just bouncing around ideas, jokes. It's just like the show, but in long format, and everybody's involved. Join today at AID.network. Become a member of the Circle of Trust. Let's get back into the countdown with Connie Collinsworth, but don't forget, we've got 40. No, not 40. That's fake news. 36 minutes more of content for Circle of Trust members. Sign up today at AID.network. Thank you. Moving up our countdown, number 3 last month. I had this in at 3 because of the people who were making it, but I had low expectations. But it was one of those creators that was riding in on a high from his previous project. Last month, I said Romanovs was number 3, but I wasn't really that excited to watch it. Well, Beth and I are now 2 episodes in, and they're about 90 minutes. So essentially putting one on is like putting a short film on. Holy shit, bro. Romanovs. One of the best things I've seen in a long time. Now, granted, I'm only 2 in, but the characters, the storytelling, the pacing. If you're a Mad Men fan, it's a Mad Men show. I mean, it's got the vibe to it, the side stories, the sort of the ugly parts of society and how we are as a culture. Like, it's fucking good, dog. It's really good.
I'm recommending it to everybody. I'm 4 deep in it, waiting for this one to come out Friday. We would have gone on in and watched the whole thing in one sitting, but they're staggering them. So I'm 4 deep, so I'm further than you. Yes, it's very Mad Men. They had me at the opening credits, man.
Yeah.
That Tom Petty, that refugee comes in there, and we're looking at those historical photos of the people being killed, blood running across the thing. That song hits in there perfect. It's such a weird juxtaposition that I'm all about it. The cast, so many people in this thing. It's stacked. It's loaded. I mean, we get Roger back in here, you know, being very Roger. Since you're just 2 in, you're missing out on somebody that we both love is coming up, Amanda Peet.
Yeah, I love Amanda Peet. Beth was like, I saw Amanda Peet's going to be in this. I'm like, I can't wait for her to show up. But I was excited because Donna from Halt and Catch Fire was in episode 2.
2, yes. that lady, I know you and I both have her high on our list. I said her name out loud, like her regular person name out loud when she popped on the screen. I know Stacy looked at me like, who am I married to?
Yeah.
She knows this person's real name. That was great.
It so far we've really, really enjoyed it. And, I would say that if Beth had to go to Palm Springs for a work thing last weekend. If she didn't leave, we would have probably finished up the whole thing. And the episode that what is Donna's name from *Halt and Catch Fire*?
Oh, I can't remember her real name. I can't remember the one from the show.
But what is her name from? You don't know her real name? Anyways,
no.
She played opposite of Corey Stoll, who he's a bald guy. If you look him up, you've seen him in several things. The dynamic of them as a husband and wife that can't stand each other was fantastic, man.
Oh no, I know her real name. It's Carrie Bechet.
Carrie Bechet.
I couldn't remember her name from *Halt and Catch Fire*, but yeah, he's also in *House of Cards*.
Yep.
I picked him up too, and their dynamic, is very relatable also. And the guy's life, just going into that testing center place to work, and then she owns it, but doesn't have to go in and work or whatever.
Yeah,
it's just like, oh, so she's kind of your boss, and she gets to stay home too. And oh boy,
and she was a horrible person. Like, she was so selfish. She had no idea that she was selfish, which is just.
Yeah.
Just watch it, guys. Just watch it. I know you're gonna click play and go, hour and a half, but wind down the day with it. You'll love it. It goes fast.
It's like little independent films. 4 episodes so far of those. You do have the through story of that there's someone that thinks they're a Romanoff or is a Romanoff descendant in it. I started looking for people to pop up through these as from other episodes. And in the second one, I believe that I noticed Anushka on the Romanoff's cruise. So
yeah, I saw Roger Sterling doing a presentation. I'm like, surely that's not all they're going to do with that actor, and that's just sort of making this world feel more round or well-rounded.
He pops back up in number 4
Perfect.
in a major way.
Perfect.
So,
can't wait.
Yeah, I if any of you people can trust our recommendations and know our love for Mad Men, and you love it too, get on the Romanoffs.
We're also going to see Christina Hendricks at some point too, right?
Episode 3, and she looks fantastic.
She always
and she's
does.
really good in it.
She always
really
does. Good. She's a heartbreaker. She broke our heart several times. All right, my number 3 for this month, a total different pace, but something that I watched the first season of and I absolutely loved. It's already started right now. It started Friday, November 2nd over on Cinemax. Season 2, Mike Judge presents Tales from the Tour Bus. The first season where they just talked about outlaw country was one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Basically, we all know Mike Judge is a genius when it comes to social commentary. He went around, talked to a bunch of old road dogs and said, what was it like to be on tour with George Jones back in the heyday? All of these people tell him tour stories. He then animates them. And you're just like, if half of this is real, it's 100% amazing. Season 2, we go from outlaw country into funk artists, George Clinton, James Brown, Rick James, another fucking cast of just complete maniacs. I cannot wait to see what season 2 has. Tales from the Tour Bus. Absolutely go watch it. You will love it. I promise you.
This is a high recommendation from me. That first season just starts off with a bang with the Johnny Paycheck.
Yes.
Tales. And if you're not familiar with Johnny Paycheck, get familiar. You don't even have to if you just watch this show, though. It's entertaining enough.
Yeah, you don't need to know any of these people.
He did shooting a man in the ear over a cheeseburger. I mean, and the George Jones episode is another standout one because he's universally known, I think, more so people could get on them. What?
I said old possum.
Oh, the possum, yeah.
Get that possum look.
The possum trolley's been for sale down here in Nashville forever. Like, it's one of those San Francisco street trolleys that was at his property. It says possum trolley on the side.
Come on, put that in the backyard. Bring that over to Robin Hood.
And I believe the original concept for this show was our old buddy Tom Zutaut was supposed to be interviewed and telling stories of rock and roll.
Well,
Judge was at his house in Virginia one time when I was communicating around with Tom a lot, and he said, yeah, there's some idea for people to sit around and tell stories about backstage rock and roll life, and he's going to make it an animated series. It's going to be on Cinemax. And I was like, oh, okay, this probably isn't going to happen. So maybe there'll be a rock and roll season, and we'll see some of those tales.
See Tommy Z pop up talk.
Yep.
I mean, he told me a great story on AID. If you've never listened to the Tom Zutaut interview, Circle of Trust member, go listen to it. His story about psyching out all the other A&R guys so that he could get the scoop on Guns N' Roses is one of the best stories we've ever been told on Adventures in Design. And dude, the vibe of interviewing Tom, we were off of Sunset in, I guess that's kind of the Silver Lake area, you know, right before like where Hollywood kind of ends. And we're just in this weird house. You had to go up like 100 stairs to get to it. And there's just a wild scene going on of just like, you know, country music people and rock and rollers and kids that look like drug dealers and just shit everywhere. And I go, all right, everybody out of the room. The interview is beginning. And I just like shoot everybody out of the room. And he just sit across from me on this broken down leather couch with a giant window behind him. And as the sun was coming down, I could only see a silhouette of him as if he was an FBI informant. And he just starts telling me all these great stories about bands that I love, Motley Crue, Guns N' Roses, Metallica. And I was just like, if this is my job to talk to people like Tom, I have died and gone to fucking nerd heaven because I love every minute of all of this. Just, and it taking place in LA and not really being from here, but feeling like, you know, I'm a citizen of the city now. Like one of my greatest rock and roll days ever. Thank you so much for hooking that one up, Connie.
You are welcome. I will still text Tom about something that I see online that I think he might know about, and I get, you know, a 4-paragraph story back. So you might have to do a follow-up with Tom.
Oh, anytime he's out here, I would love to hook up and talk to him and have a and it was such a wild day. I even made an enemy that day.
I think that could still be worked out, but we're going to leave that there.
You know, oh, hold on. My headphones are dying. Check. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Let me just put that note down.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you when I came back to my rental car the night that I married you and your beautiful bride, your sex wife? Did I tell you that my rental car got egged?
No.
Yeah, I came back from going out and rock and rolling with little Tuffy and your son. And then eventually I'm like, I got to get back to my car. I got to drive up to Lexington and see my family tomorrow morning. I got back to my car from the night of your wedding and it had been egged. And I have suspects, but I won't charge anybody.
No, that's not the move from that person.
I don't know, man. People definitely saw me pull up and get out of my car, and I thought it was there might have been a revenge plot against old man Bricky, but whatever. I'm a Duke boy. I'm always going to make an enemy wherever I go, but I'm just a good old boy. I mean, no harm. Coming up for our number 2 pick of this month, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Now, this is going to kind of get into what we get into our Circle of Trust, and we've had a little bit of problems on my end with equipment, so we'll do the best we can with our COT today. But Netflix was originally going to make a television series from the Coen brothers. Fargo, which is a television series based off of one of their properties, has worked out really, really well. They made this Western, Buster Scruggs. It's a anthology. It's a handful of episodes that will tell all of these kind of crazy old tales from America's Wild West, but through the lens of the Coen brothers. I'm all in on this. I love their films. They're not, they've now done enough stuff and gotten creative enough to where it's not always as clutch as what you might hope. But I do absolutely love what they do. You'll see James Franco, you'll see Liam Neeson, you'll see a handful of people that you that you remember from their other films, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do in this amount of space. And the best news is Buster Scruggs, played by Tim Blake Nelson. He was my Momo's favorite character in Oh Brother Where Art Thou? And my Momo, I gave her a VHS copy of Oh Brother Where Art Thou? She might have watched it 2 or 3 times a week till the days she died. And she fucking loved that movie so much and could just quote it on a dime. And I was happy that I gave that to her.
I've read that this is going to be, they're going to actually put this in theaters.
Yeah, it's going to do a short release.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So we got a property that's going to be, was it Netflix you said? Yeah.
Netflix.
And then going to go into the theater. Have they done that before?
Well, that's a play from Amazon goes out to Sundance, and Amazon buys these like low budget indie films. They buy them and then they put them on their Prime service. But to give a nod to the filmmaker, they'll do that opening weekend or the weekend before. They'll play them in like LA, San Francisco, and New York. So there is a little bit of a cinematic release. So this is Netflix kind of borrowing from the Amazon playbook.
Okay, I got it. I was just, I heard that and I thought that was a strange thing. Yeah, it's got Liam Neeson's. I mean, James Franco, always interesting, always good. That's going to be interesting. But yeah, Tim Blake Nelson, that dude is good in anything. I see. That makes me love Momo even more, even though we never met. To know that she's watching this 2 to 3 times a week. I mean, she probably knew the dialogue by heart. I mean,
it's just like her world, and she would love going, he turned into a toad, and she would act it out. And, we loved when the bank robber goes, friend, or, the guy who's playing Buster Scruggs walks up and goes, friend, you've done dropped your folding money, because that car has just money all over the country road. And man, what a fantastic thing. One of the things I was going to say about Tales from the Tour Bus is listening to all those old timers about outlaw country speak. They use so much of the dialect that my Momo used that it made me feel like I was sitting at home listening to her tell me a fictitious story about her daddy, otherwise Alton B. Cotton. So Coen Brothers is kind of like looking into what I believe the past of my family is like. So I always love the way that they tell a story with all the colorful language and the crazy characters. Like, you never know what you're going to get, but you normally get something pretty great.
Yeah, I'm going to check this out. I love the name of it too. Battle of Buster Scruggs.
How could it be bad? My number 2 last month was Making a Murderer, and that is one of the other things that I haven't gotten to yet, and that's because I weighed down the wife with Wanderlust, camping, and we're going through Romanoffs. Making a Murderer, I'm holding on to that. We normally get some good downtime around the holidays. I remember watching the first one around the holidays, so I'm holding that in my back pocket. You've watched it. How is it?
It is fantastic. It's just as addictive as the first season, only now we have added in a character that is just a character. I am obsessed with Avery's new lawyer who's trying to get his case, get him released based on the evidence. Kathleen Zellner, she's had 17 post-conviction cases overturned and people released, which is more than anyone. It's her specialty. She looks like Natasha from Boris and Natasha. It took me like 2 episodes to get it, and then I was like, oh, that's it.
That's where I recognize her.
Yeah. My friends and I have created what we think her home life is like. What she sits on the deck with a Virginia Slims, drinking, a white wine, and just thinks about her life. I've got her in like having great romances in Paris and Rome throughout her life with men and women. She doesn't care.
Yeah.
She's the kind of lady that will just go to a movie by herself because she gives no fucks.
Yeah.
She'll eat at a restaurant by herself. She doesn't care. She's just rock fucking solid character, like woman. I'm obsessed with her. She's also on Twitter, very active. I found that out, and so now I'm just all over those tweets. But it's same old cast of characters. We've got Steven, we've got Brendan Dassey back. We followed the 2 separate cases where they're trying to get Brendan's his confession taken out because of saying he was coerced. And we all know he was. We all know he was.
Yeah.
The kid, he's a little mentally challenged, a little, 83 IQ. He's smarter than some of the people on the Stern Show.
Yeah, he's smarter than Bobo and High Pitch Eric, but not as smart as Sal.
Barely. Just barely. But
I'm feeble.
We've got his family, and we just really she takes. Now we're seeing all of the evidence that we were like, oh, this just doesn't seem right from the first. She's actually like, yeah, this is not right, and she's like, I'm not going to try to go back in and prove whether he did or didn't do it. I'm going to prove that their evidence does not show that he did.
Right.
And that there was something going on here. And the thing that makes her unique is, and she says it a few times, she's like, I'm just as interested in this as you all are. I just want to know who did it, how it went down, what happened. So it gets an enthusiastic recommendation from me.
So she's kind of bringing in the accountability that we all wanted to happen in the first season of this is wrong. Whether these people did it or not, the way that they were treated was just absolutely wrong. And that shitty court appointed lawyer that's so proud that he like basically
Oh my God.
hung his client. I mean, that guy was a villain from like the reason why I like that this is right next to a Coen Brothers project is because you would have 100% thought that the first season of Making a Murderer was a Coen Brothers mockumentary.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we get to revisit some characters that I hated and I hate more. Ken Kratz, that soft-speaking, soft-faced, doughy, fucking. Oh my
Tell us
God,
how you
I
really
can't
feel.
even- He's just a little bit of a dig under the surface from finding something really horrible that guy's done. I could tell. He is brought in and he's retired from all of this, but once it's back up in the interest again, well, guess who pops back up and writes a fucking book, and he's got his own theory that Stephen Avery planned this whole thing, and that he really did the first thing that he got released for, that he served the 18 for. And it's wild, crazy theories again, just like in the first season. But Catherine Zellner is the star of this. She's the reason to watch it. It's so layered. I mean, we get those Michigan,
She
Wisconsin
does look like
folks.
Natasha.
Yeah, did you look it up? And she just has a real flat tone.
Yeah.
She's super intelligent, just methodical. I like that she also she doesn't just set up on her throne in this high-powered law firm and send out these clerks to do things. She's out there firing those guns herself. She's out there scraping blood out of Steven's sink. She's down in this. She goes and sits and talks with his family. You know, she's very relatable. I could see why she's had 17 things overturned, because she's just like, I find the things that the evidence is suspect in, and that's what this is. So I could go on and on and on about it, but I won't. But
Did you
just
finish it?
everyone watch it. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we watched it in about 2.5 days, and it's one of those like, okay, another episode. Yeah, hit it. You know, and we just stayed up way too late watching.
Yeah, see, we got to get through Romanovs first, but I remember there was that Christmas season 2 years ago where everybody was just like cutting out of events early to get home to watch 2 more Making a Murderers, and
Yep.
I think that for whatever reason I equate this show because of that around the holidays. I'm like, oh, let's save this for, one of those weekends where we're like, oh, we don't have any family in California, but we can watch these people's life and then we won't feel so bad about ourselves. All right, let's wrap it up for our number 1 pick. Last month I said Ray Donovan, which is one of my favorite shows. Last night, Beth and I watched the opening episode. Just as strong as always. They've sort of retooled it. It looks like it's going to take place in New York. They told us where we ended last season and brought us up to where we're going to be in this season, and just a really strong cast of characters that they have to play with on that show. And I really enjoyed Ray Donovan. It's kind of taking that soprano slot that I always need in my life, and I really enjoy it. This number 1 for the month of November. Thank you so much for listening to us. Coming up in part 2, we're going to talk about some industry news and sort of look at all this from the creator's perspective. But my number 1 is a returning friend. So curious to see how they're going to play out House of Cards season 6.
Yeah, I've seen the short little trailers on that, and I love Robin Wright. Another one of those actresses we talked about earlier. Like, I'm loving the way she looks.
Yep.
She's flawless. She's living in that in her own time and age and all of that. To me, Kevin Spacey, all of that stuff aside, he's just one of those people you can't stop watching on TV. And this role was custom built for him. That talking to the camera, which I normally fucking hate, he takes it to a whole new level. But spoiler alert, I guess you could tell from the trailers they've killed him off. And so Robin Wright is the president.
Yeah. So the weird thing about when Trump got elected, or when he was getting elected, is I thought all of this was in House of Cards, and it seemed
Same thing.
very fictionalized and very far off. I'm like, holy shit. The world now feels like that show. How are they going to bring back that show? And they had so much outside influence thrown into their lap, and then the Me Too movement happened, and they got to get rid of their main star. And Kevin Spacey's done bad things as a person, but as a professional actor, just as his acting chops on screen, I don't know what he does. I haven't seen what he does when he's not in front of the camera, but in front of the camera, the greatest actor of his time. hands down, like the greatest actor of his time. And you take out that much star power and talent, you also add in the interference of Trump, which his character was sort of a Trumpian character. From a creator's perspective, how did they handle the challenge of 2017 and the influence of 16? Like, it took a long hiatus. I'm completely invested in how they figured all this out. And luckily for us, it's already on Netflix right now to go dive into.
Yeah, right. I was thinking, House of Cards, one thing about it was we were seeing all of this fantastical behind-the-scenes maneuvering and seeing people being really shitty humans and maneuvering to get what they want at whatever cost. And although we know that politics is like that, it still seemed like it was a notch up on that show. And now we know that, they can't top our everyday existence.
I know.
So I'm interested to see where they go with this. I think that, fortunately, losing someone like Kevin Spacey, they do have someone like Robin Wright and so many other supporting characters on there that are fantastic. I'm going to pick back up on it and watch, but we'll just have to see. I've had an ongoing dialogue with some friends, like, these days, where do we draw the line between a person's actions as a person living in the world and the art that they give us? I've struggled with that a little bit with some people, and I'm falling more on the side of I'm trying to separate the two.
Yeah.
And continue, because, like a classic example is a Woody Allen, like, does what I know now, or what he's accused of and everybody seems convinced of, does that take away my enjoyment of Annie Hall and Manhattan and Crimes and Misdemeanors and Hannah and Her Sisters and so many things that I've loved my whole life? What place does that put those things in for me?
If Kevin Spacey was in season 6 of House of Cards, I would absolutely still watch it. And I'll tell you why. If somebody's done something so heinous that they've been found guilty of it, they've been prosecuted, they should be in jail. So if society lets a man out on the streets and then gives him a job, I'm not guilty here for watching him do his job. It's the system that's broken. It's the people around him. It's people turning a blind eye. And I don't support any of that. But if you're guilty, then you should be away. If you're somewhat innocent or not so guilty that you've been prosecuted and you can show up and go to work, then I'm going to consume the media, unless you're just somebody that's so heinous that I can't stand the sight of you. And a lot of times that's for own personal decisions or whatever. But if Kevin Spacey was in this, I would watch it. If he's done what they say that he's done, then he should be prosecuted and should be put in jail and, and found guilty in a court of law. That's the way that I think it goes. And look, I understand that when you're a victim, you don't always speak up. I held my sex crimes against me for a long time because I didn't want to hurt my dad's feelings. And I understand the burden more than anybody. So it gets into a whole tangled mess. But if he was in this show, being honest, I wouldn't be like, I'm not going to watch it because he's in there. I would watch it and go, he's a despicable person. He's good at his job. And hopefully justice will find him if people can step up and do the right thing. So I know that that's not a popular opinion, but I'm just being honest.
No, I agree with you. That's where I'm finding myself falling to on that side. And it's controversial, but hey,
I mean, I believe that people should go to trial and that, there should be a case against them and they should figure it out. And making the public sort of sort it out is unfair to the public because there are people that do this professionally that should be able to professionally figure out, are you a sex offender? Are you, a deviant? Have you done something against society's rules? If so, let's fucking take it to court. Let's wrap this up and get you done. Like, why am I sitting over here being Judge Judy? There are people that I've hired and elected to do this for me. I have delegated this over to them. All right. Let's get into part 2. Let's get into the circle of trust. Connie and I are going to look at is a lot of things that are happening from the perspective of a creative. What can we all learn from the Hollywood machine and how can we implement it into our own creative stories, into our own business strategies as entrepreneurs, artists, and creatives in the workforce. You ready to get started, Connie?
Bring it on.
Okay, here's a couple of things that caught my eye. Outlaw King over on Netflix. This is interesting because Chris Pine is in this movie. the movie goes out and premieres, and it didn't do that well in the film festival circuit.
Because it's Castle Times.
Well, yeah, I'm strongly opposed to Castle Times. But what they did, and this is an interesting way to look at things from the creative, is so your film goes out to the film festivals and it gets a meh review. But you get to deal with Netflix. They go back in and they edit it, add in 20 more minutes, sort of work out on telling the story in a better way. And some say they improved it from when it premiered at, I believe it was the Tribeca Film Festival. So it's interesting to think about the idea that it used to be you put out a film, and other than, going